snotty mess with big old alligator tears. I was standing at the end of an altar, talking to someone that I had never met before, telling her, I believe in God. I can see him. I believe in the Holy Spirit. I felt it. But I can't wrap my head around this Jesus character. Like, how in the world? It just didn't make sense. My logic was fighting with everything spiritual inside of me. You see, up until this point, I'd spent an entire year separating myself from religion and what I had been taught and the rules around Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit. But in this moment, it was real. I sat on that altar and I had a conversation. I had a conversation that led to the biggest awakening. In that moment, God spoke to me and said, Ashley, who you are has nothing to do with who Jesus is. Your lack, your insecurities have nothing to do with who I am. That day, that changed everything. You see, the thing is that we as humans take this concept of God and we put our rules and our regulations on it. We put our culture on it, and that is not what it's about. In this moment, on this day, in my life, what I needed was a relationship. I needed something and someone that I could hold on to, not just as a ticket out of hell, but someone and something that would walk this daily walk with me, that would help me fight my daily battles, that would give me encouragement daily. Religion didn't do that. If anything, religion drove me further and further away from that. I couldn't grasp onto the concept of you had to do this and all the rules, because in my soul, I can be a rebellious spirit. I needed something that I could connect with. This day, man, all I could say for months later was, it's different. It's different. I remember going home to John and saying, this is what happened. And I don't know, but one thing I do know is everything is going to be different. See, on this path that I'm walking, one thing that I'm learning is about daily surrender, constant refinement. A vulnerable moment for me was when Jesus spoke to me about the things that he wanted me to clean up in my life. And what he said is, Ashley, I don't care what the rest of the world is being convicted over. This is between you and I. Those things were hard. Those things were hard for me because those were selfish desires that I cling to. But what God has for us is daily surrender. See, we're all searching for something to hope in, something to believe in, something to put our trust in, something bigger than ourselves. We all have this internal need for something that is bigger than us. I love the story of where Justin and I were traveling back and forth from Mississippi to North Carolina when we were doing our move. And we went back and forth across that part of the country a couple of times, and each time we would stop at these stores and they would all have this knife that Justin really wanted, and it looked like a credit card, but it folded up and it was a knife and it went in your wallet. And every time we would go into one of these stores, he would ask for it, and eventually he just said, Mom, you give me no hope on getting this. You know, the mom in me was like, Justin, it is not my job to give you hope. It is my job to feed you, to clothe you, to educate you, to make sure you are safe. But look to Jesus for hope. And I think a lot of times what I was doing in life is I was looking to the church. I was looking to people. I was looking to what the world could give me in hope. But that is not where our hope comes from. Our hope comes from having that relationship with Jesus, that intimate basis. We all search for hope in people and places and things. And then at the end of the day, we get let down because, after all, they're just people and places and things. So I took a year where I stepped away from a job that I had previously. And when I looked at this job, it very much lined up with the religious system of the church. There was a man at top, they played on your emotions, and then after that, you acted in a way that you were supposed to. You see, I'm kind of over the supposed to, right? Those guilt words that we use. I'll talk more about them in a later video, but I was over what I was supposed to do. I was looking for more, for happiness and joy and a bigger purpose in my life. So I took that year and I stepped away and I said, God, I want you to show me you in a real way, and something I can connect to, and something that I can I'm either going to jump in 100% or I'm not in at all. And so that's what happened. I went to a women's conference, and at that conference, I went up to the altar, and y'all, I surrendered. And daily, I'm learning what it looks like to surrender more and more from my will and my selfish desires. And that's what I want to help you learn how to do as I walk this path, as I become best friends with Jesus Christ, as I see God, my Father, as the ultimate example as a father, and as I'm led by the Holy Spirit, I want to share that with you. You know, when you change your life so differently, like Saul to Paul on the road to Damascus, where he had the intimate encounter with God, that's what it felt like in my world. And it was like one day what was, the next day no longer could be. And when you go through that, a lot of times you have people in your world that are like, whoa, Ashley, I thought I knew who you were. And the whole time I'm like, yo, I thought I knew who I was too. But you become this new being, this new creation in God. And I remember the cool part about it were friends that I thought were judging me would then come to me and ask questions. And there was these bold moments where I had to step out in fear and faith. Along this path, I feel like I am being led to share my experience. I asked God one time, I said, what am I supposed to tell them about? And he said, you. And I said, God, I don't want to tell them about me. I want to tell them about you. And he said in that moment, Ashley, when you tell them about you, you tell them about me. And so that is the goal of this, is to give God, my Father, the most ultimate glory, reward, acknowledgement. It is not for me. It is to help you walk this path a little easier, maybe from the things that I've learned and been through, that you can grab onto them. And you know, as I walk this path, I share. And sometimes I feel like I shouldn't share, or sharing is wrong, or people might look at me a certain way, but I've decided that I don't want God to be ashamed of me. So I will not live a life ashamed of him. And I want to encourage you to live that same life. And that is my story, and I just want to share it with you, mixed in with a little mom and entrepreneur life along the way of how I've learned lessons the hard way. And I don't want you to have to do that. I want to share who God is, who the Holy Spirit is, and who Jesus is in a way that hopefully can be impactful to you and those around you. I am not a preacher. I am a daughter who is learning to walk this walk and tell others about it along the way. The school of life has taught me that I don't want to do this alone. The life of being a preacher's daughter has made me realize that relationship is so much more important than a religion and rules that we follow. If you know of someone that can use this, that maybe this testimony can be a testament for what God can do for them, please feel free to share. There's a series coming up, and it's called From Pieces to Peace. And essentially what this is where we go in and we talk to people who feel like they are broken, who feel like they have reached the bottom, and yet God showed up and gave them peace. If this is something that you would like to see more of, make sure you subscribe so you see them when they come out. If you have a story of where you came from pieces, feeling like you were broken and God showed up and gave you peace, we'd love for you to submit those so that we can share them with others. If you like this video and you want to see more about how I do this in daily life, raising a family and being an entrepreneur and making money work for us and stewarding it in a way that God has designed, click the videos in the description and be sure to subscribe.